Glad you enjoyed today's Q&A with Innovators and hashtag Black STEAM. I'm Gerard. Let's get inspired today. Welcome, everybody. My name is Gerard Buckner with the Mortgage Institute for Research as part of the outreach team in the Discovery Building. Today, we will be having a conversation with Keena Atkinson, a multi-faceted woman who's doing a lot in the community. But we're going to talk mainly about wellness and a few other things around STEAM background. So as we get started, Keena, would you like to just introduce yourself?
Yes, so my name is Keena. I am business owner to Rougey Wellness, um, as well as We3 Property Management, where I own and manage multifamily housing, and K Naturally Hair, where I have a salon. Rougey Wellness started with primarily offering yoga and dance, and has expanded to other wellness offerings that are just all encompassing, whether it comes to dance, yoga, wellness, tools for healing, affirmations, esteem building, confidence, all of those type of things that contribute to our wellness. So yeah, that's the short, dirty snippet of who I am and what I do.
Yeah, and we'll dive in some more. Audience, as you guys are watching the video, if you have any questions, comments, if you would like to share anything with us, we are using the hashtag Black STEAM Innovators as our conversations are focused on STEAM and STEM. Please feel free to use the hashtag, give us some comments, give some questions, and if you have any specific questions for Keena, we'll be sure to get them to her and hopefully be able to get your questions answered. All right, let's get started. So Keena, first question I have for you is just tell us where you're from.
I am from a lot of places. I've been living here in Wisconsin since 1999, when I was a sixth grader here. And before then I lived Illinois, Iowa, Delaware, North Carolina, Alabama, lots of places throughout the country, and ended up living here in Wisconsin, Madison.
Wow. What was the like all the movement about?
Well, moving around a lot was interesting and adventurous in a way because, we got to see a lot of places. I was very young, so I thought that was normal. And so then, like, moving here to Wisconsin, didn't I think that I might not have realized or considered that I would be here for so long, just because we had moved so much. Our moving around frequently was mostly, a result of some domestic issues in the family, with my parents, but it was still like we got to see a lot of new places when I was a kid growing up. So living here in Wisconsin was like, when are we leaving?
Yeah. No, I feel that. I moved a lot as well as a kid, but it was mainly just between here and St. Louis. So not as adventurous as you are, but that's always fun. I think moving around a lot adds a lot to your personality and like how flexible you can be as a person, because you get to see so much and witness so much and experience. So awesome. So yeah, back to I can never pronounce it right. Could you tell me how to say it again?
My business?
Yes.
Rougey Wellness.
Rougey Wellness. Cool.
Yeah.
How has Rougey Wellness been affected by COVID?
Well, we have definitely learned a lot of resilience and adaptability. And then also like really learning, diving deeper into the mission, and growing because of that. So before, at the beginning, I was traveling like all over Dane County to offer my services, teaching classes. And so then once COVID hit, it was like Friday, I was teaching in person. Saturday, March the, 13th, I went to teach my class at the Princeton Club, and I was like, I think this is my last time teaching. I'm just gonna do this just because I already committed to it and I don't even know if this is safe right now at this moment. But I'm gonna, stay away from people. Like everyone was scared, right? We didn't know, we didn't have any direction. And then the next class I taught that same day went virtual. So I had a class at 1:00 p.m. And you know, at the beginning of the year, if you would have talked to me in January and said, Keena, can you live stream your yoga classes? Can you live stream your dance classes? Not if you would have asked me, but when you asked me, not you, but I was asked this and I said, absolutely not. There's no way I'm going to live stream my classes. They're sacred. There's a certain vibe that comes along with them. I'm not comfortable with being recorded teaching. I would rather be present with the people in front of me and not worrying about the cameras, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so then, boom, Friday, last day of school for the kids, last class taught Saturday, 1:00. I'm setting up blocks of, Legos and my son's little toy drum and books in the yoga block so that I can teach a 1-hour yoga class virtually. Because I was like, I didn't know what was going to be happening. And of course, here we are 11 and a half months later. I didn't know what was going to be happening. But also I knew that because we were all dealing with a lot of fear, a lot of emotions, a lot of uncertainty, it felt all the more necessary for me to go ahead and dive in and take the chance of being imperfect and still, being able to hopefully be able to provide the space that I did not feel comfortable, that none of us felt comfortable or safe providing in person anymore. So it was like, boom, I just jumped right in. And then I spent a lot of time over the next few months trying to find the right platform in order to reach the people where they were, who wanted to take the classes. I spent the whole summer and into the fall teaching classes virtually at no cost, just offering those wellness spaces because it was necessary. And so I just was like, I'm gonna just start teaching these classes. And I didn't even ask for donations until probably like January this year. But before then, it was just like, no, I'm just offering this because this is what we need. So I was able to do some collaborations and partnerships with some other organizations who wanted to offer space through their, business and their companies. So I was able to reach people through their platforms as well. But yeah, it was just like, we gotta, we have the protesting happening right here in our town, downtown Madison. All of those things that cause a lot of hurt and trauma to us and our people. And for me, it was like, I need to be able to provide space for people who are trying to process and deal with all of this emotion.
Wow, that was really resilient. I honor you for doing that. Keena, can you tell us a little bit more about what Rougey Wellness is and kind of just dive more in deeper to it? You talked about classes and things like that. So what all do you do?
Yes, thank you. So Rougey Wellness stands for Ratchet Bougie Wellness. And so how that came about was after I finished teaching the yoga class back in 2018, I had got my 200-hour yoga teacher certification. I had done my work dance fitness certification. I had been teaching. However, I did not have a name for my business and my offerings and what the intention was. I did not have a name to like wrap all of that into a beautiful package. And so my mom and a friend, after my class one day, we were brainstorming some ideas. They were like, what's your favorite stone? What's your this? What's your that? And we came up with a description. They was like, well, Keena's a little ratchet and a little bougie. And this was before, listen, I like to tell people, this was before Meg Thee Stallion and Beyonce came out with Savage, okay? This was 2018, okay? So, like they came out with Savage like last year, 2020, but Rougey been here, okay? We've been here, represent, okay? So a little ratchet, a little bougie. So it's like basically the summary of my business and the work that I offer, the space that I offer is primarily for Black women, Black children, Black families, right? Because that's what I am, right? And that's where I identify. And that was what led me to want to get my deepen my education in these areas. Because, you know, for me, I walked into a yoga studio back in 2000 and maybe 2015. I walked into a yoga studio one day that was called hip hop yoga. I drove 30 minutes to get to the class. And when I walked in, I was greeted by two white ladies at the front desk who said, "Are you lost?" And I was like, "No, is this hip hop yoga?" And they were like, "Oh, yeah, yeah." And I was like, "Okay, that's what I came here for." And I was, so, you know, then they was like, "Okay, well, we'll get you set up." And they put me over in the corner. Um, and I was so distracted by this class that I drove 30 minutes for, you know, that I paid, you know, dollars that I worked for. And listening to, I couldn't focus because I was like listening to music like that had offensive lyrics in there, and listening to all of these people that were not representative of me vibing and enjoying doing yoga to music that was saying words that are derogatory towards Black people. Use your imagination, and so my mind could not even have a yogic experience, you know. And so I taught Black Girl Magic Summit. I taught dance at the Black Girl Magic Summit that year. And I was like, I need to become a yoga instructor. And, you know, like, I need to do this work because I need for Black women, Black children, for people who are marginalized and who are absent in those spaces, I need to create a space where they feel like they were thought of. And so it's like my classes and my work is not exclusionary of any groups or any people, but it is primarily thought of and designed, created with those marginalized groups and people in mind. Because, you know, it's like, how often, like, and I say this to people, I say, how often do Black women walk into a space and say, wow, I really feel like so much thought went into this to make me feel welcome, you know, and it makes me emotional when I think about it because, you know, like a lot of times, you know, for a lot of us, when we walk into a space, it's like, we're looking around, you know, we're kind of worried about, you know, like, okay, are they going to tokenize me? Am I going to be looked at for to be expected to have the answers to every question regarding whatever, you know, being Black, being what a woman, being a Black woman, you know, all of those things. And it's like, I just want to be able to let my nervous system relax the same way that everybody else is coming in here for. You know what I mean? Like, and it can be in educational environments. It can be in work environments. It can be in, you know, like health and fitness environments. That extra layer of nuance, it still rides with us in all of those spaces. So, you know, for me, it's like Rougey Wellness. I can be ratchet and bougie. I can be soft, and also I can still be adaptable. I can be resilient, and I can still have emotions, right? I can experience joy, and I can also cry, right? Like, I don't have to be a brick wall. I don't have to be a machine. I don't have to police my emotions in order to be welcome, in order to be safe. You know, all of these things that specifically Black women, Black children, Black families have been taught to adapt in order to be accepted or welcomed or safe in the spaces that we enter. You know, like, just all of those type of things, like the things that we think of maybe when we enter into a store, right? Or when we're walking down the street, or, you know, like when we're seeking help. Can I get some help? You know, just the way that we have to put on. And so it's like, no, for Rougey Wellness, we're embracing our full spectrum of everything that we are, welcoming those things, exploring those things, stepping into those things and healing, you know, feeling into the places that we can heal in, you know, one day, 1 minute, one breath at a time, you know? So that's the thought behind the business.
Yeah, you kind of already spoke on a question I wanted to ask you around all the different things about emotions and things like that. But what else, like, what other things go into Rougey Wellness that kind of relate to the STEM or STEAM?
Yeah, well, for one thing that I love to geek out on is how our brain, like our brain. So my degree is in psychology. I have a bachelor's degree in psychology, and then also I went to cosmetology school. And so, for a lot of the work that I do, with Rougey Wellness started behind the chair, right? I mean, before I went to college and all of those things, I was a hairstylist. That's where I started, right? That was my very beginnings. I've been doing hair since 2005, right? And so, like there is a lot of the work that I do in yoga is the work that I do behind the chair, right? Connecting with people, um, listening to them, learning the questions, like just listening, doing consultations, figuring out what it is that they need, and then translating that into a very beautiful expression, right? That not only makes them feel good, but also empowers them. And that is not just something that's just so easy, as easy and as simple as just let me make your hair pretty, right? Like there is a process through that. And so like one of the things when it comes to the hair side of it is like doing hair. Cosmetology is STEAM, right? Not only are we practicing formulations, cutting hair, it's an art, right? There is an art to all of the it's an art to the creation, it's an art to the consultation, to listening to somebody saying, this is what I have in mind, this is what I envision. And then me being able to listen and take in what they're saying, capture that, find the right formula, to mix up whatever, color that I need to mix up to do their hair, or whether it be to get the right angles when I'm cutting their hair, the right parting. The way that I part the hair, it makes a difference in how the hair lays. Like when I'm making braids or when I'm starting locks, styling locks, braiding, all of that it's such a beautiful expression of science, you know? And then in addition to that, you take in the connection aspect that happens behind the chair. That is neural pathway. That's brain activation, that's healing that's happening behind the chair. And I get to do that behind the chair in the salon, full time. I'm still doing that. And then I also get to do that in my yoga, right? So when we're in our yoga classes, when I'm working with youth, when I'm working with adults, when I'm working with people who have, survived or overcome certain traumas, we all have traumas that we experience, right? And teaching somebody to practice forgiveness, compassion, non-harm, to themselves, teaching them affirmations is all rerouting their neural pathways and creating that resilience in their brain. It's creating new ways in their brain for them to be able to exist on this earth, right? Breathing, breath work, all of that, the way that you breathe, breathing in through the nose, that deep inhale, breathing through your nose, I feel it every time I breathe through my nose. I feel the response starting up in my brain and then travel all the way down my spine, because that freshly cleansed breath, it does something to the nervous system. It's so amazing. The alignment we practice in yoga, and then additionally with dance, right? When you're practicing dance, the impact it has on your memory, your mood, those are hormones, okay? And that's more brain activity, creating more resilience, strengthening those fibers so that you can be able to live a prosperous, enjoyable, prosperous, enjoyable life. And so frequently, so often in yoga and in healing spaces, we say the earth provides the things that we need, right, in order to nourish ourselves. And we have everything, for the most part, we have everything inside of us that we need. So when we're experiencing things that are imbalances, right, such as anxiety, such as depression, even tuning into being thirsty, right, is us listening to our body, practicing that, tuning into your body so that you can give your body what it needs, that it's asking for. And in American culture and society, we've so frequently been trained, especially as girls, to ignore those signals that our body sends us. And we've been socialized to ignore those things because, like through society, through the pervasive, like marketing, right? The things that make us think we're inadequate. And so it's so amazing. I literally could geek out on this all day.
Yeah, no, that was poetry. And you gave us a little bit of a free class on learning how to breathe. so,
Yes.
so I appreciate that. And for folks that may be interested in starting a business, something like this, like what's the process on beginning?
Well, I would say for the beginning, to be able to do something like what I do, number one, and most importantly, is you have to be willing to fail. You got to be willing to make a lot of mistakes. You have to be willing to suck, you know what I mean? In the sense of comparison. And then you have to begin to really just practice your observations around what you have previously learned, right? So it's like, okay, like if you got to be willing to try things, fail, be rejected. Those are the most important things. And so it could be whatever, right? Like in 2020, because of the pandemic, I took the leap into starting offering retail offerings. So, waist beads. I have waist beads. Let me show you. Here's some of my waist beads that I make. And so for a long time, I was really nervous to start offering my waist beads because I was like, I want it to be perfect. And, for anybody who practices business, perfect is our worst enemy. It'll lead us to analysis paralysis, right? I'm a scholar. So everything that I do is for the love of learning. And so I tell people, don't be so motivated by whatever the financial rewards or benefits are. That's like, if there was a list, that would be like the bottom of the list for me. Because at the end of the day, on my worst days, the financial aspect is not what's going to get me out of bed. At the beginning of the day, like, like if you've experienced hopelessness, depression, all of those things that kind of drain your energy like dementors, you're going to know that the money is not going to do it for you. It really has to be the question of, what is my purpose? What is bigger than me? In my learnings, I've learned through my teachings. I'm in a 300-hour yoga training right now. I'm always learning. And so in one of my classes, I learned that the things that we're doing today, like me being who I am right now, a lot of that has been impacted over the last 7 generations before me, right? So it's like, wow, like if I think of that, like my 7th grade back, right? My 7th grade ancestors, and then everybody they interacted with and all the choices that they made influenced who I am today. And so if I know that and know that it's that today, that everything that Keena does today, the decision that I made to get out of bed, the time that I spend teaching my kids, the time that I invest into the business, the time that I invest into my own self and healing and breaking whatever generational, things have come along with me that I'm working to heal from and put an end to. 7 generations past that are going to be impacted by what I'm doing today. And so that's what gets me out of bed every day. That's what has me responding to emails and learning and practicing and being okay with not being perfect and not getting it right every time, and taking the chances of failing and accepting rejection as a lesson and a blessing. You know what I mean? Those are the things that makes me know, like, what I'm doing is way bigger than me. Every time that I step into a room, every time that I put pen to paper and write and share some of the teachings and the wisdom that someone else has imparted on me, I know that I am doing not just for me, but I'm doing for 7 more generations after. So, some of the things that I've done, like really it's like being perfect, and then it's being imperfect, and also just being and is not being mean to myself. Knowing that that whatever the qualifications and then the titles and the decorations, None of those things are quite as important as, you know, the things that you pick up, the lessons that you learn from, how many times you have to learn a lesson until you can move on to the next lesson that you learn. If you've ever seen like that mountain, and then the iceberg, everything that's beneath it, you know, it's all of those things. The titles is not reflection. The titles is not so important, but what is important is the commitment, the dedication, the willingness to start over again and again and again if you have to, right? So you know, I went to school, I got my bachelor's degree in psychology, but I was homeless when I first got accepted into the program that really changed my life, which was the UW Odyssey Project. I was homeless when I applied for that program. Me and my son, he was 4 years old and I was homeless, right? And before that, before becoming homeless, I had become a single mother. My son's father went to prison. And so overnight, I became a single mom. And then it was like, then a few months later, I became homeless. And then I was accepted into a college program, right? And then when I applied for my bachelor's degree at UW, I was rejected the first time that I applied for my degree for acceptance into the university. And so then, you know, my counselor said, she said, you know what, it's because you need some math. So go back and take some more math credit and then apply again. But what you're not going to do is not apply again. So I applied again. Do you know how many times that the university calls people to tell people that they've been accepted into the program? I don't, but they called me. They called me and said, Keena, we want to offer you acceptance into this program at the University of Wisconsin. At this time in 2000 and I want to say 12 or 13, when I got accepted into my bachelor's degree program, I was living in a 1-bedroom, 450 square foot apartment with my son who was 4, right? I didn't even have my own room. I was sleeping on a mattress on the floor in the living room, right? And I was at that time running my business that wasn't even established legally. I was running my business from my living room where I had a curtain separating the bed. You know what I mean? And then from there, go to get my bachelor's degree. And when I was working on my bachelor's degree, I ended up being pregnant with my second child during my senior year. And then I went to school through the summer, right? While I was pregnant, walking up Bascom Hill, right? Catching the bus. And then after I had my baby, I took the semester off to tutor other people at the UW Odyssey program, right? While my baby, who was 2 weeks old, we sat at the South Madison Library, tutoring students, because again, I just have a love for learning. And then I went back to school in that January semester with my breast pump strapped to my backpack, right? Found spaces to pump my milk in so that I could still do school, still feed my baby, you know, and I was a single mom because his dad also went to prison when I was pregnant, you know what I mean? So, you know, I still graduated school. Did I finish on did I finish at the timeline? Did I even start on the timeline? No. But who am I competing with? You know, I'm not competing with anyone. I'm just wanting to be better every day, better myself each day. You know what I mean? And be okay with failing, be okay with taking those failures as lessons. I don't learn so much from the things that go right the first time as I do from the things that I tried and then it didn't work. And then I'm like, well, what do I need to do better? Like there's so much to learn in that failure, in that mistake, more than I would learn from just getting it right the first time. I'm so thankful for the things that I failed at the first time. So, you know, it doesn't matter, like whatever norms or standards, I don't know what normal is. I just know that I'm better today than I was yesterday. And that I keep waking up and getting the chance to take new, fresh breath. And I keep getting to practice, you know, loving myself, bettering myself, being better for my children, for my community, for the generations that come after me. I just want to keep being better.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for being vulnerable with us and telling us your truth. That is amazing. And it makes me, I love that because I love, like, you know, if I were to ever take a Rougey Wellness class, which I don't know if I'm ready for that yet, but
Right.
I love to know, like, the whoever's owning the business, that I can connect or at least understand or know who they are, and they're willing to connect with me. So I thank you so much in all of you shared today. And the last thing I wanted to wrap up with today is, like, which we have kind of already spoken on, but what advice would you have for somebody you may have inspired today?
What advice would I have for someone who's been inspired? I would say if you feel inspired right now, use that as your energy to take action on whatever it is that my message spoke to you. Whatever that was, take action today. Do something scary today, whether it's make a phone call, right? Or ask somebody for help. Like I don't do any of the things that I do by myself, right? Like I have the support of my community, my clients, the people that I work with, my children, my family, my friends, those people who see that extra something in me, right? And because of the fact that we all were created here for a purpose, the fact that all of these perfect things had to align in order for us to be here right now, taking the breath that we're taking, using the space that we're taking, we have a reason and a purpose to create an impact. And if something that I said today spoke to you or reminded you or lit something in you, do something today. And then tomorrow, do something else and keep doing something else. I don't care if it's something tiny or something big. Tiny steps make big steps. Okay. And so it's like I tell people all the time, do it today, because then in a year you will look back and you will have a year's worth of steps behind you. You have 365 tiny steps. That's a big step. So do something today if that's what you feel inclined to do. Even if that something means I'm going to take a nap so that I can give my brain the extra bit of, recharge that it needs, because naps are important. Listen, we uplift naps in this house. So if that's what you need to do, then do that. Or if you need to make a phone call or send an email, you would be so surprised at how the tiniest of steps can change your life. Even if you just don't know what's going to come of it. I've done so many tiny, scary things. And so I can speak here from experience and say, take that step. You know what it is. I don't know, but you do. Whoever's listening.
Well, out of your multiple businesses, I think motivational speaker is in your future as well. So got me charged up. Well, that was great. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today, and again being so vulnerable. I really appreciate it, and I really hope people are able to take this opportunity and really connect with you for Rougey Wellness, and hopefully even your hair business as well. And again, thank you so much. Would you tell the crowd where they can find you? Are you on Instagram? Are you on Facebook? Where are you at?
Yes, I am on Instagram and Facebook at Keena SFA, which basically stands for Keena. It's a long story, but Keena SFA. Or you could type in Rougey Wellness. If you type my name in on Google, Instagram, Facebook, whatever, you will find it. I'm the only Keena Atkinson in the world, and the only Rougey Wellness, and the only Keena SFA on every single platform. Even if I don't use it, I still claimed it, because you just never know. So that's me, Keena SFA.
Cool. Well, thank you so much again. All right. And everybody at home, thank you for watching. Again, if you have any questions, comments, or anything like that, please use the hashtag Black STEAM Innovators. We would love to connect with y'all in the future. Have a good day, everyone.
Thank you.